They told me I was here to evaluate the facility. An old asylum in the mountains, long decommissioned. But when I arrived, the front gate was still chained, locked from the outside. No staff, just rusted wheelchairs, peeling paint, and hallways too dark for natural light. Still, the record said patients were still inside. I thought it was an error, until I heard humming. A low, tuneless hum, echoing through the west wing. I followed the sound and found them. Patients. Emaciated, staring at walls, muttering. No power. No food. No staff. Yet they were still alive. One woman in a chair looked right at me and whispered, "He's still walking." I asked who she meant, that she just pointed behind me. There was nothing there, at first. Then I felt the cold. It wrapped around my spine like fingers. The air changed, thicker, heavy with something metallic. The lights, if they were lights, flickered once, even though I never saw any bulbs. That's when I heard the dragging sound. Not footsteps, just something being pulled. Slowly, methodically, I backed away. One of the patients began to scream, "Don't look at his face! Don't look at his face!" Then the hallway stretched. Literally. The walls pulled apart like elastic, growing longer, darker. At the far end, a figure appeared, wearing a stained doctor's coat. Head tilted. No eyes. Just torn skin where his face should have been. He walked without noise, but the dragging sound kept getting closer. I ran, turning corner after corner. But the asylum didn't end. Rooms looped. Doors changed. Every clock read 3:33. And the patients, they followed me. Some crawling, some chanting, some whispering my name. I found a basement stairwell, one I hadn't seen on the floor plan, and took it. The descent felt endless. I thought I saw my own reflection, walking up the stairs as I went down. But it wasn't doing what I was doing. It was smiling. At the bottom of the stairs, I found the records room. Filing cabinets, walls covered in patient notes. I searched for names, but every record was mine. Different versions. Different dates. Same photo. Each one stamped. Admitted. Condition. Non-compliant observer. The lights snapped on. The doctor was there now. Closer than before. He raised one shaking hand, and I saw what he held. A mirror. He showed me my face. And in the reflection, I was the doctor. The dragging noise? It was a straitjacket trailing behind me. I screamed, and the patients outside the room began chanting, "He's awake! He's awake! He's awake!" The walls folded in. The mirror shattered. I opened my eyes, and I was back in the front office. A nurse smiled. "Welcome back, doctor." I tried to speak, but my voice wouldn't come, because I wasn't speaking. I was watching, from inside someone else's eyes, and outside the window a chained gate waited, unopened, still locked, like it never let anyone leave. I thought waking up meant escape, but every room I entered just led back to him. The doctor. The dragging. The chant. "He's awake. He's awake." I stopped running, stopped blinking, and for the first time I listened. The patients weren't trapped. They were watching, just like me. Every version of me in the files had tried to leave, and everyone had failed. That's why the asylum still existed, because someone always stayed behind, to keep it alive. The moment I understood that, the dragging stopped. The mirror reformed on the floor, smooth and waiting. I looked down, and I saw the next visitor. New eyes. New face. Already walking the halls. Already hearing the chant. Already starting to forget who they were. And behind them, I stood, silent, waiting to show them the truth, because that's how the asylum survives. One awake, one asleep, and one who finally understands. No one ever leaves. It started on a quiet Thursday night. My mum knocked on my bedroom door and walked in with a strange look on her face. Too still, too calm. She asked, "What's your worst nightmare?" I laughed and said, "You turning into a monster or something." She didn't laugh back. She tilted her head and smiled. But it didn't feel like her. It felt hollow. Then she cracked her neck sideways. Not like a pop, but like the sound of breaking wood. I froze. Her eyes darkened. Skin around her mouth split open just slightly, like a second mouth hiding beneath. She whispered, "Then you've seen me before." And I swear, for a second I did. I remembered the same smile, in a dream I had years ago, waking up to that face at the foot of my bed. She stepped closer. I stumbled back until I hit the wall. "Mom?" But she didn't answer. She began muttering things in a voice not hers. Layered, distorted, like more than one person, speaking through her mouth. Then she reached for me. Her fingers were too long now. Her skin peeled around her jaw. That's when I screamed. The door slammed shut behind her. I ran to it, clawing at the knob. From the other side, I heard banging. But not from her. From my real mom. Sobbing, screaming, pounding on the door. "Open up, please. That's not me in there." I froze. The thing behind me whispered in my ear now. "She's lying." I turned, and she was upside down on the ceiling, crawling toward me like a spider, eyes pitch black, mouth stretching past her ears. I screamed louder than I ever had. She dropped to the floor, soundless, and ran at me without touching the ground. I covered my head and cried. Then silence. I looked up. The room was empty. I opened the door. No hallway, just a long mirror-lined corridor. That didn't belong in our house. In every reflection, I saw her, grinning, waiting. I ran down the corridor, and the mirrors shattered as I passed each one, until I crashed through the last, and landed in my room again. Daylight, morning, my mom cooking breakfast, like nothing happened. I stared at her, shaking. She looked up, smiled, and cracked her neck. Just once. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in bed, watching her shadow move under the door. It didn't match her footsteps. Sometimes it twitched. Sometimes it stopped. I thought I was going insane. The next day she acted normal. Too normal. As if someone had studied her and was playing the part. But her eyes kept following me, even when I wasn't in the room. That night, I found the same mirror hallway in a dream. But this time, it was endless. And I wasn't alone. There were others, kids like me, each one being chased by something wearing their mom's face. I tried to scream, but the air was thick. The walls pulsed like lungs. Breathing. Watching. When I woke up, my mirror was cracked. A single handprint smeared in something black. I wiped it off. It smeared like ash. I asked my mom about it. She smiled and cracked her neck again. Same sound. Same tilt. I don't think she's been sleeping. I hear her talking to someone at night. But there's no one there. I set up my phone to record my room while I slept. What I saw the next morning, it wasn't human. She stood by my bed for hours. Her face never moved. Her eyes were open the whole time. And at 3:12 a.m., she looked straight at the camera, like she knew. I showed my friends the video, but when they played it, There was nothing. Just me sleeping alone. No figure, no movement. Nothing. Like she didn't want them to see. That night, I woke up choking. She was standing over me, hand on my chest, whispering in that layered voice again. You belong here now. I grabbed my phone, shaking, turned the flashlight on. She vanished. Only one thing remained. On the wall above my bed, the word, remember, carved deep into the plaster. I don't know what it means, but every mirror in the house is now covered. And I haven't seen my real mom in days. If she's still out there, I don't think she's alive. The job was simple. Catalogue the names etched into the tombs of an old church crypt that hadn't been touched in over 200 years. They said I was the first outsider, allowed down there in decades. The last guy who tried quit mid-shift, mumbling something about shadows that breathe. I thought they were just stories, meant to scare volunteers like me. I descended the spiral stone stairs, into the crypt, flashlight flickering in the damp. The air was thick, the kind that sticks to your skin. Mold and decay clung to the walls. Rows of tombs, stone coffins, lined the passage. Most were cracked with age. Some collapsed entirely. But what caught my eye were the few that were different, sealed in wrought iron cages, bolted to the walls and floors, like someone tried to keep something inside. There were plaques too, scratched in Latin, phrases like Noli Respicere and Claudi Animi Damnator. The caretaker laughed when I asked. Just old church drama, he said. That place is full of bones and nonsense. Get the job done, don't stay too long. So I worked, one name after another. Cracked lids, broken rosaries, old bones. Then, the fourth cage, the one in the corner. As I bent to copy the name, the metal bar fogged up, like someone inside had just exhaled. My flashlight flickered and died. I fumbled for my phone. Dead. No light, no signal. Just silence. Then the humming started. A low, wet vibration. Almost a chant. Coming from the breathing tomb. I backed toward the stairs. But they weren't there anymore. Only more coffins. More stone. It was like the crypt had shifted. Or I had crossed into something older. Hungrier. I turned to run. And slammed into a figure. One of the upright shapes. It was cold, dry. And breathing. They didn't move like people. They drifted. Each step a whisper. Each breath a curse. One by one the others rose. Silent, dragging chains. Alive in the worst possible way. Their limbs bent the wrong direction. Like marionettes with broken strings. I ran. Heart in my throat. Footsteps behind me. Scraping. Slithering. Getting closer. The crypt twisted like a maze. Repeating. Folding into itself. Until I saw the tomb again. The cage bars were bent outward. It had gotten out. And I wasn't alone. I heard footsteps behind me. Quick, inhuman. Almost insect-like. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I ran until my lungs burned. I don't know how long. I only knew I had to get out. Then, a staircase. Not the one I used. New. Narrow, steep. I scrambled up, hands bleeding, knees shaking. At the top, a heavy wooden door. Locked. Then suddenly not. I burst through, and daylight blinded me. I was back, in the church's front hall. I gasped, shaking, tears in my eyes. I turned to look at the door, the one I came through. But behind it, no staircase, just a bricked-up wall, like the crypt had never been there, like it waits, beneath the church, for someone else to breathe.